Okay, so today we're going to cover some shortcuts you can use in Visual Studio Code. You can take a look at this link over here, which is found inside the video description under important links. Otherwise, we're going to go a little bit beyond the shortcuts that are shown here, as well as in addition to some of the shortcuts that are shared here as well. The shortcuts I'm going to show are ones that I use every day to be a little bit more productive, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you too. Okay, so as you can see, we just have a base PowerShell file here. Doesn't need to be PowerShell, but I'm just using it just because why not? On the first line, we see a comment, first line, line 15, we see a comment, last line, and just some base variables that we can use. So this video is going to sound like a fighting game for a couple seconds because I'm going to cover a couple combinations that we're going to use for shortcuts. There's 6 categories. First is shift combos. There's control key combos. There's alt key combos. Then there's Control plus Shift combos, Control plus Alt combos, and then finally Shift plus Alt combinations. You can also feel free to look at the video description for a written explanation of the combinations and what they're doing. You can also look at the video descriptions for timestamps to skip ahead to go exactly to where you want to see, set combo and see what it does. Okay, first let's start with the shift combos, right? So first one is shift key plus an arrow key. So if we start in the middle over here on line 2 and we go shift left twice, you see that you're going from the origin of where the cursor currently is to 2 spaces over to the left. If I go shift and right, 2 spaces to the right. If I go shift up key, it selects everything from the current cursor position to exact same cursor position but one line up. And same concept if I go shift and down. Because the next one we're going to cover is the shift key plus the home key, which is going to take the cursor's current position and select everything from the current position to the beginning of the line. Okay, next we have the shift key plus the end key, which is going to take the current cursor position and select everything from the current to the end of the current line. Okay, so next we're going to do control combos. We're going to start with control and left or right arrow key. So we added this new line on line 4, and if we do control right, we skip to the next word, and if we do control left, we skip backwards to the next word. Okay, so the next one we have is control and home key. So you see that we're here on line 5, if we hit control and home, we skip to line 1, the first line. Okay, so next in the complete reverse, we have control end key. So if you hit control and then the end key, you see right now we're currently on line 1, and we're going to skip straight to line 15, the last line. Okay, so the last one we have for regular control combinations is control plus the /. So if we were to select line 3, for example, and we press control and /, it's going to create a comment out of that. So let's do it again for line 2. Let's do control and /, creates a comment out of that. Hit control and / again, it uncomments. Hit control and / again, it uncomments and comments. So it toggles commenting and uncommenting for a single line. So next we're going to start with alt combinations. So if you hit alt and up or down key, you're going to move the current selected line up or down. So if we press on line 1 for first line comment, alt and down arrow, we're going to move it down. Right, and now if we press alt up arrow, we're going to move it right back to where it was on the first line. So next for regular alt combinations, we have alt plus left mouse click. So that's going to be multi-line selection based on where you click. So if you hold down alt and we have the first line already selected and we have line 3 and you left click, you see that there's 2 cursors now. Say you want line 5 as well and the last line. So now if I were to hit tab, for example, I'm able to modify and edit all of these lines that I've selected. So let's just undo all that. So now we're going to move on to more quote-unquote complex control plus shift combinations. We're going to start with control shift and a left or right arrow key. So if you remember, control left or right would select or skip to the next word. As you can see, control left skips to the next word to the left, control right skips to the next word to the right. Shift left would select the next character to that direction, shift right would select the next character to that direction. So now we're going to combine the two. So if you hit control and shift and then the left key, you can select the entire word. Now if we hit Ctrl Shift and right key, we can deselect now in that case, and then select the next word, going on to the next line. Okay, so in the same sense, we're going to do Ctrl Shift up and down arrows. So similar to Ctrl Shift left and right, instead of going left and right, if we do Ctrl Shift up, it's going to select everything from the current cursor position going up one. So this is actually a weird scenario because we're above the cursor position in line 4. So when we go up, it just goes to the end of line 3. So if we were to actually go over here at the start of the word every and we go up, you see that it goes 1 for 1 with the word world up above. Same exact cursor position, one line up. Now if we do Ctrl Shift down, same concept. Exact cursor position, one line down. If we go Ctrl Shift up, up, up again, as you can see, doesn't matter how many lines you do multi-select for, it's always going to be the current cursor position and exactly one line up or down. So the next Control Shift combo is Control Shift plus the letter L. So to do this, this is going to select all occurrences of the same word. So in this case, let's copy the word sum. So if I were to type sum with a capital letter, and then I just have it at the somewhere along this line, and we do Control Shift L, you see that the sum on line 5 is also selected, so we can replace all of this all at once. Replace this, right? So that's great. Let's undo that. Now, if we were to change this to lowercase sum, it's actually not going to work because it's case sensitive, but you can toggle that on and off over here by doing the case sensitivity. So now if we were to do Control Shift L, turn this off, Control Shift L, we see that regardless of case sensitivity, I am still able to replace that all the same. Okay, so next we're going to cover Control Alt combinations. So the first one we're going to take a look at is actually Control Alt up and down arrows, which is multi-select. So let's go over here, line 4 at the start of it, and do Control Alt and up and down. So you see that now we've selected these 3 lines starting from line 4. We can easily modify and add things as we need to. So it's a very useful tool, and I'll show you an example of where I use it every day. So a decent use case for this is, say we have this line 5, we'll do Shift Home, so that we select the whole thing and copy it twice. So now we know that, let's just make these 3 new variables. So say the value for all of these are supposed to be set to null. Well, you can do, multi-line Control Alt all the way down, and do Shift End. Now you've selected all 3 of them, and you can just say it equals null, right? Or in this case, since it's PowerShell, equals null. So now you've just modified all 3 of these lines very quickly. Okay, so the next combination is Control Alt plus left or right arrow. Essentially what this does is split your current display with another tab that's open to do a split screen where it makes it easier to compare. So what I mean is I have over here another tab open, another example file that PS1 is open here. As you can see, it just has a dummy comment over here. And if we go back to the main tab in question and we hit Control Alt the right arrow, it actually just split my screen so that I can easily compare the contents of both files. If I want to undo it, I can just hit Control Alt, let's get rid of that, do Control Alt left arrow key, and it goes back to the main tab in question. Okay, so next we have Shift and Alt combinations. We're going to start with Shift, Alt, and up or down arrow. What this does is copy the current line up or down based on the arrow key direction. So if we were to go to line 3, for example, and we do Shift, Alt, and down, we copy line 3 downwards. On the flip side, if we were to go to line 4, and let's just change this so that we can differentiate, and we copy this Shift, Alt, upwards, we see that we've pasted it upwards, right? So that's pretty much it for Shift, Alt, up or down arrow. Okay, so for the final shortcut that we're going to show is going to be a Shift, Alt, plus the letter A. What this does is make the current selection into multi-line comments. So if you remember, we had the original, which was Control, not the original, but the other example that makes a single line comment, which was Control plus /. So line 7, for example, is a single line comment now. Now say that we wanted to comment all of line 5 through 7, right? So what you can do is you can select all of this and then do Shift Alt A, and that makes a multi-line comment. As you can see, it's denoted by this multi-line comment. And then you can select this again and do Shift Alt A again, and it'll undo the multi-line comment. Alright, that pretty much sums it up for what this video covers. Hopefully it was helpful and insightful. Do feel free to share in comments what shortcuts you know and use to increase productivity in Visual Studio Code. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Have a good one.